Shalom, Yasharala. This your brother Dawud Da from GMS Tampa Bay '07, coming at you with this truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rokah, Kodash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that ruled well. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth with sincerity in the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions. All right, we're going to jump into this here quick little lesson. Looking at, things that's been happening in the news with so-called America's allies and, hearing the things that they're talking about, and you see all these other countries that aren't necessarily America's allies starting to switch things up, In the news, we had certain things like Iran dumping a dollar, China getting ready to dump, China, with the petro yuan, they basically dumped the dollar, or they're making it an easier way for other countries to dump the dollar and jump onto their currency, So you see all these things start to happen, you're starting to see Germany starting to buck up against the demands of America for spending more in their military, Germany and France want to develop their own new fighter jet, they don't want to deal with the American F-35, and deals with that, this is one of the reasons why the beast starts to hate the whore, I speak about this a lot of the times, it's like we all in one gang together basically, and we, all of us collectively as a gang, we go over here and we go hit a lick, we go rob somebody, right? But when we sitting over there trying to divide up the spoils, I wind up taking everything, And the 6 gangbangers I got with me, they don't have nothing, I'm taking everything, but those other 6 help me out, Eventually those other 6 is like, look, I'm over here putting my life on the line too, I could get caught, get busted, and I ain't reaping no benefits, So this is like what's going on with these hating the whore, So, you have like Germany and France again trying to make their own fighter jet, And so with them buying America's fighter jet, the F-35, those are produced by either Lockheed Martin or Boeing. Nevertheless, either way, it's an American company, So every time one of these, I believe they're like $1 billion a piece for these airplanes, every time one of them is made, who's reaping the benefit, America is, America's winning twice over. Not only is America, passing out all these damn F-35s, which they work in unison with one another. These planes communicate with one another basically to be, one big mainframe unit, Not only does America get money off of selling these planes to all their allies and all these other countries, they also get to use them as an extension of their military, So, they don't necessarily have to put up all their troops and all their pilots, they can get the pilots from all these other countries to fight for them as well, And all they have to do is tell them to buy their planes, Not only are they going to get more people to fight for them, they're getting more money off of every plane sold, But nevertheless, we're going to jump here into the scripture because, see, with these types of things, these countries are starting to wake up. They're starting to see they're like, how are we benefiting, All these oil-rich countries and stuff like that, they're starting to realize, like, wait a minute, we the one got the gold, black gold over here, but we don't really have none of the power, America's controlling the flow of the oil right now with their petrodollar, and, they have us going all the way around the world with the damn oil instead of going, a more direct route, just so they can tax extra on it, And that's pretty much what you see with the Syria deal, with the pipelines and all that, They're trying to control these currencies and things like that, So we're going to jump here into this here lesson. And basically, what you're starting to see, like I said, with the allies and non-so-called American allies starting to hate the whore, They're starting to hate this here whore. The influence of America is starting to decline. America had a great influence over all these other nations, We're going to read about that here in these scriptures, but America's influence over these other nations is getting slim, Let me see real fast. Well, I'll start there and then I'll try to find that other script. We're going to jump off in Revelation 17:1. It says, and there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, and I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Okay? So in this great whore that sitteth upon many waters, we're going to find out who this is, It's talking about America, but we're going to back it up with scripture. But it says, verse 2, with whom the kings of the earth, okay, these other leaders of these other nations, all right, all these other nations, okay, whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Okay, so, this is more or less an analogy that's being spoken. They call it a great whore. It says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. Okay, so basically it's like saying you know, all the other leaders of the nations are basically dipping and dabbing in the affairs of America. You know, they're not necessarily saying they're being nosy or nothing, but they're more or less following after their ways and their doctrine, more or less to say, you know. It says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. All right? So the inhabitants of the earth, you know, it's a trickle-down effect. You know, the inhabitants of the earth, they following who? Their leaders, you know, the kings of these nations, you know. And so, and with that, you know, you see that it says they were made drunk. It says the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. That wine is more or less their doctrine, or the things that they push out. You know, homosexuals can get married and this and that, you know. But more or less, you know, dealing with these kings, well, that's how the inhabitants get mad, you know, because you start to see all these calamities happening in these nations, you know. Like in these so-called Arab countries, you know, they pretty much have their women in order, you know. They in modest apparel, covered up and things like that. But America goes over there and take the I forgot what they call it, a hijab or something like that. They take the head covering off the women and put them in fucking booty shorts with the ass cheeks hanging out and shit, you know, titties all hanging out. Now these women running around like whores and shit, you know. Got all kind of crazy shit going on like that, you know. And so they and now with that, you know, you start seeing these men start lusting after these half-naked ass women, looking at another man's wife, sleeping with another man's wife. Now you got all these calamities and things going on with, you know, those types of things happening. You know, you got all these people wanting to be homosexuals and transgenders and stuff like that. And so now you're corrupting these people's minds over there and driving these people crazy. So this is how the inhabitants is getting mad, you know. But not only that, the kings, they're getting mad because of things like, okay, like the Germany thing, you know. They're getting made drunk, you know. All right, look, just buy an F-35, you know, we'll help protect you, so on and so forth, you know. Buy our fighter jets, you know. We could band together, you know. But what they starting to realize is, yeah, we banding together, but we're not reaping any of the benefits. You getting rich, and we not getting rich. We spending money, you making money, you know. So they starting to see these things, you know. So the kings of the earth is fornicating with the great whore, you know. Oh, okay, we got a deal together, you know. Y'all make these planes all good, this and that. Let me get some of what you got, you know. Break me off a little bit, you know. They cutting deals with each other, all right. But again, as you see right now, is the tables are starting to turn. Again, these like the scripture, we're going to grab it real quick. Matter of fact, it says, let me jump back up to the top. Verse 2, it says, verse 1, it says, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. So the great whore sitteth upon many waters. Okay. It says, verse 15, and he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. All right. So, you know, I had to bring that out to cut that damn Vatican doctrine. You know, the Vatican is not the fucking Babylon. You know what I'm saying? It's not Babylon the Great, because the the Vatican isn't sitting on top of all these other nations. All right. The Vatican isn't ruling over all these other nations and stuff like that. You know, prime example. Who's ruling over Saudi Arabia? Okay, that's America. Saudi Arabia is a so-called Islamic nation, right? So they don't even really believe or follow in after Christianity or like that Christianity doctrine. So, you know, Saudi Arabia isn't, how do you say, fornicating or getting, you know, fucking around with the Vatican, more or less to say, you know. Israel isn't fucking around with the Vatican like that, you know. They're not, you know, those countries aren't really dealing with the Vatican like that and getting rich off of them. However, Israel's whole air force and their nuclear capabilities is only possible by America. Same with Saudi Arabia. The only reason Saudi Arabia can dominate over there in the Middle East like it is because of America. All right. When I did a video, I believe it was earlier this week or last week, about what was it Qatar? I think it was Qatar. They were saying that they need to step up their basically what they were saying in Germany. You know, they need to step up their they need to put in more on the military fight, more or less to say. And if not, you know, America's going to basically leave them, you know, and if America leaves them within a week, their country will be ran over and taken over, you know, basically is what they were saying. So, you see, it's not the Vatican or none of these other nations that's sitting on top of these other nations and holding these and propping these other nations up. It's America, all right? America is making these other nations drunk with the madness of them. You know, that, what's that guy's name? Duterte, all right? When you seen the president of the Philippines get on the scene, you know, Duterte get on the scene, he was one of the first people who was, you know, waking up out of basically, how do I want to say, angry, out of his angry drunkenness. You know, it's like waking up a somebody who was super drunk, you know, and then they kind of passed out, went to sleep, and they woke up, you know, still halfway a little drunk, but halfway sobered up, and they just mad and angry, you know, they just want to get the fuck on, you know. It's like Duterte, he's like, look, fuck y'all Americans, y'all can take y'all military and get the hell up out of here, you know. And you start to see these other countries doing the same thing, you know, they're not necessarily as vocal as he is, but, you know, you start to see them go towards the same deal, you know. You start to see places like Britain and stuff like that saying, hey, look, you know, maybe we should reconsider Russia being in the G8, you know, or the G7 plus one type of deal, you know. We want seriousness, you know. We can't, you know, despite what America say, you know, we starting to see, we waking up from our drunken stupor, you know. We starting to see that all this shit is popping off only because of America and their bullshit that they spreading, you know. It says, and he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are people and multitudes and nations and tongues. So again, only America sitting over top of all these nations like that. Only America, okay, is sitting over there dictating what the fuck going on in South Korea. All right, and you know, I didn't make a mistake when I said South Korea because that's so-called America's ally, you know. But now South Korea is like, nah, we about to join back up with North Korea, you know. And also, America's telling other countries like, you know, like Iraq and shit like that, you know. But we know that they stole that nation, but nevertheless, telling them what they can and can't do, or how to do certain things, what they need to be doing, you know. Oh, you guys need to take care of this problem, you know. Or also telling other nations, putting sanctions on nations, you know. If you got the authority to put a sanction on somebody else, that means you got authority over somebody, all right. Bring it down to a smaller level. If, you know, me being just a regular person, I can't pull somebody over and write them a ticket and that shit hold weight. I can't, you know what I'm saying? But now the police, he can do that. Why? Because somebody gave him authority to be able to do that, you know? I can't evict somebody out of a house because I don't own that house, you know? But the landlord or the person who owns that house has the authority to do that, all right? So if you got the authority to tell somebody else what they can and can't do, that means you over top of them, more or less to say, okay? So this is what it's talking about, that great horse sitteth upon these many waters, all right? It's in control. It's dominating on all these other nations, all right? It says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, okay, which, you know, the beast, we talk about NATO and the EU, all right? The 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire, okay? And talking about they're going to hate the whore, again, you're starting to see these things. Germany starting to wake up, Britain starting to wake up, you know, not part of the 10, but also a NATO member, Turkey, you know. You see these things with Turkey, all right? And again, you start to see these things with these other nations starting to change up their deals and everything like that, you know. Like the Petro Yuan, the BRICS nations and things like that, you know. Right here. This is Isaiah 14 and 10. It says, all they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou become as weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, and the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. All right? So you have to take a look at this. You know, we was just reading about that great whore that was sitting upon the many waters, or all these other nations, all right? When you in that position, you up on top and everybody else is looking down on you, looking down on everybody else. It's like you going to the courtroom, you know, the judge is sitting over top of everybody else, you know. You say something disrespectful to him, he got the authority to cast your ass in the jail, you know. It's not the other way around. He could say something to you to piss you off, and you ain't got no power to do nothing to him, you know. So in the analogy, America's like that judge, you know, that's reigning supreme over the courtroom, and all the other nations are like, you know, whoever's in the court, you know. America's the one casting out judgment. Whatever I say, you know, y'all got to sit there and do. If I say you got to pay $1 million and serve a life sentence in jail, damn it, that's what you got to do, all right? But now, okay, using the same analogy as the courtroom, you know, the judge in the courtroom saying order in the court, everybody calm down. But then you got all the people in the crowd and the people on trial. They like, you know what? Fuck all of that. You know, we ain't listening to you. How about you do this? You do that. You know, you bow down to us. You know, or you know, they saying order in the court. Stop talking. You listen to me. But then you got the defendant over there like, nah, hell no. How about you listen to me? This what's finna happen. You finna take your happy ass over there and do X, Y, and Z, and I'm finna go over here and I'm finna do this. You know. So, you know, this is pretty much what's going on. It says, and they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? So for the simple fact that they even have room to speak unto this great horde that's sitting upon everybody else, okay? The fact that you got the right to talk to the judge and he can't just be like, you in contempt of court, and he about to cash you into jail. If that shit don't hold weight no more, that means either y'all on the same equal playing field or, he done fell beneath you, Something is happening, So, like, we're getting into the, America's influence is starting to decline on all these other nations. They don't really have that pull that they used to have, all right? So, and they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou become as weak as us? Art thou become like unto us, right? So thinking back in the courtroom, the judge is reigning supreme over the whole courtroom, right? But now the people in the court saying, are you become weak as us? You screaming order in the court and somebody ran up and slapped you in the face and you calling for the police and the police just got hemmed up, And so now the people in the court, while you over there screaming order in the court, calling for more police, they over there looking like, are you become weak as us? You got goons, we got goons. What that really do? Put your hands up and let's see what that shit really about, This is pretty much what they're going to, America's like, look, if y'all do this, we're going to put sanctions on y'all. Okay, go ahead and do it and see what happens. I mean, we're going to still survive without it regardless. We got our shit over here popping off. We good now, And they be like, oh, we're going to switch up the currency, All right, we'll look back to JFK, Abraham Lincoln, Muammar Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, They be like, yeah, but them niggas didn't have nukes back then. We got nukes and we got China and Russia now, so what's up? And so now they saying, are you become weak as us? We ain't scared about them sanctions no more, And also their allies and the ones that's going the 10 that's gonna hate the whore, Oh, if you don't do what we say, we're gonna cut off military budget, and you're gonna fall within a week, or we're gonna cut off your military aid and your protection and stuff like that. When these other countries is like, well, we don't really give a fuck because these other countries ain't really beefing with us. It's not really us that's pushing up on these countries like that. Really, we following the leader, and you the leader, you the one pushing up on everybody else. These other countries are seeing we getting depleted by fucking around with you anyway. So, fuck that. And all of them is banding together to come knock your ass down. We might as well jump on the bandwagon too. We'll at least get a little bit of life and freedom at least, This is what these people are thinking in their mind. This is why they starting to turn and hate the whore, This is why America is losing its so-called clout over all these other nations. They don't have no more clout, They ain't got no more pull. We're going to end off here in Jeremiah, chapter 51, start at verse 7. It says, Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand. Okay? That's that golden cup that made, the center of attention, the main character of the movie. Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. Okay? Again, this is that great horde that says upon all the nations, top down, you know what I'm saying? Everything rolled down from the top. So you made all the other nations drunk. You sitting over top of all the other nations. All right? Is the Vatican sitting over top of America? Okay, my point period. Vatican ain't sitting over top of goddamn Saudi Arabia or Israel. You see what I'm saying? But it says, Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. All right? Prime example, these European nations, they over here took part in the fight in Syria, blowing up all of Syria and shit like that, blowing up all these so-called Arab nations. And now what happened? You get a flood of these goddamn Syrian refugees and all these so-called Arab refugees now flooding Europe. Now Europe is getting taken over, and so-called invaded by all these Arabs, and the Arabs remember what's going on because shit, it was just like yesterday. It's still going on today. So they going over there not really giving a fuck about their country. Y'all blew up our country, so fuck it. We gonna blow up y'all country. Y'all over here raping our women, we gonna rape y'all women. We don't give a fuck. Y'all over here blowing up all our shit, terrorizing us day and night. The fuck is a little stabbing here and there, It's like throwing fucking peanuts at a goddamn, at the fucking ocean, trying to feed the whole ocean with like 2 or 3 peanuts. That ain't really doing shit, But nevertheless, it says, Babylon has been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed, okay? Because the 10 starting to wake up, Them 10 plus everybody else is starting to wake up, Those that was confederate with thee have deceived thee, Those 10, they're going to wind up hating the whore. Not only that, the rest of these nations you've been pushing up on, they starting to look at each other like, oh, yo, because Russia's being a garden to them, all right? Now they getting all the same shit that you got, nukes and shit like that, missile defense systems, and now they sticking their chests out. Like, nah, nigga, them nukes don't scare us no more, bro. We got some heat over here, bro. Go ahead and push the button and see what happens. And again, as you see what's going on with Syria, all those airstrikes that America and its allies is doing, a lot of them ain't hitting, they hit like a goddamn, I can't even give you a real percentage rating, but they're not hitting like they're supposed to be hitting. And Russia really ain't got they top of the notch shit over there, you know? So, you know, you starting to see these things, so these nations are starting to poke their chests out like, yo, bro, we got this, you know? We ain't really scared of your ass no more, you know? You ain't gonna keep bullying us, you know? Today is the day that you ain't taking my lunch money no more. You starting to see America's influence, you know? Oh, we're gonna put sanctions on your ass. All right, well, fuck it, we'll just go deal with them. Oh, you can't sell your oil and this and that, or we'll put taxes on it, or we'll put a tariff on it, or whatever. All right, well, fuck it, we just won't use your system. We'll just sell it over here to these people. They still need it, you know? And so what is America going to do when, let's say, a European country need oil? We got the oil, but you put sanctions on us so we can't sell it to them. These motherfuckers is in cold-ass environments sometimes, so they need this shit to stay warm and stay productive. So, and they your allies. So really, you so-called hurting us, but really you hurting your own allies. They waking up to it, and we waking up to it. Bro, you and you know, your word don't have no clout no more. It don't hold no weight, bro. You know? Everybody waking up to your madness and your bullshit, you know, and everybody's turning on America, and everybody's making these new deals, and, you know, you see China with the South China Seas, what they call the Spratly Islands that they built up, and America told them not to do that. They're like, fuck all y'all. We see y'all trying to prepare for an invasion, bro. Fucking, we gonna do what we gotta do. All right? You see, these other countries, you know, coming up with their own currency, changing up the currency and stuff like that, you know? When America's like, nah, we ain't gonna do that. But these other countries, you don't see America really trying to go over there and just do what they do over there, you know? They're trying to pick something up in the woodworks, but, you know, they can't just run up on them like they did Saddam Hussein and Muammar Gaddafi, you know? But with that, we're gonna go ahead and close out. Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you. I can push in this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions. Stay strong. Shalom.